All right, so welcome to video two in our From Invisible to Intentional, the Higher Learning LinkedIn Job Search Strategy. If you have not already watched video one, I would advise you to watch video one. Otherwise, video two may be a little complicated for you, or you may not really understand the point of video two if you have not watched video one. So I definitely encourage you to go ahead and watch the first video first. So, reviewing the first video, we focused a lot on positioning and creating your LinkedIn page in a way that you go from being an invisible candidate to a visible candidate, which is why it's important to watch that first video because I'm actually telling you and walking you through the strategies to make sure that you're getting the most out of your LinkedIn profile. In that first video, I talk about how people assume or think that their LinkedIn page is really just about showing their resume. And although your resume is there, LinkedIn is really a scanning tool that recruiters use in order to find the right candidates for the roles they're recruiting for. And although people think that LinkedIn is not working for them, that's not true. It's not that it doesn't work. You have to know how to work it in order to get the results that you're looking for. And if you're invisible, then that's why you're not being seen. That's why it feels as if it's not working. Your strategy has to be on point in order to draw those recruiters, in order to get that attention that you're looking for. So most of the time you're invisible because not because you're underqualified, but because you're improperly positioned. And the language in your LinkedIn profile does not align with the roles that you're looking for. Social media, LinkedIn, while we consider that just a form of social media, it really is not a social media platform in relation to a TikTok or a Facebook. It's really about positioning yourself for corporate America or for your next step in your career. So it's not traditional, it's non-traditional, it's a database and it's used as a scanning tool for recruiters so that it can match workers with employers, if that makes sense. We don't scroll in this endlessly to find the right people. We're very strategic behind the scenes when we're searching for the right people. And that's what this video is for. I'm going to show you a video of someone else working behind the scenes in their LinkedIn profile. I am unable to show you behind the scenes in our LinkedIn profile or even our Indeed profile because of confidentiality purposes. There are real life people, real life candidates who are applying for real life roles. So that's not going to work. However, I was able to find a YouTube content creator who does train HR professionals or recruiters on how to navigate LinkedIn Recruiter from behind the scenes. And so I'll give you guys a chance to kind of see how that works, how we navigate those systems. And LinkedIn kind of reflects how all the rest work. I think it's a little more technical. It's a little more advanced than, let's say, Glassdoor, Monster, if that's even still a thing, or Indeed. But it's going to give you insight into how we kind of narrow things down, how we search by keywords, how those keywords come directly from our job profiles or our job descriptions. And if your profile doesn't contain the right language, then you're going to continue to be invisible. This is why I'll touch on this really quickly again. When you're reading through job descriptions, if there's a term that you see that keeps flagging, if they're saying they need a stakeholder manager, and you see that in the first paragraph, and then you see it later again in the bullet points, and then you see it again at the bottom where it says qualifications or recommended experiences are, then you're going to know stakeholder manager is something that you need to highlight in your LinkedIn profile, on your resume, and etc. So just make sure that you're looking for those key terms. Your job title is not enough, even if it matches to the T what that job title is for the job description. A job title only gives a title. And we know that a lot of the times job titles don't necessarily match what it is that you're doing in the role. So the job title, while it's important, it's not the key. And it's not going to be what specifically opens the door to any role that you're applying for that you really do want. The language that you use matters more than the job title that you add to your resume or your LinkedIn profile. Many professionals assume that listing job titles is enough. It's not. Two people can be called the same thing and have totally different job descriptions. So you want to make sure you pull 3 to 5 job descriptions of roles that you actually want, that you're interested in. And if you look at them, you'll be able to also see they're different. There's differences with each company. It's not one size fits all. None of this is one size fits all. They may ask for operations manager, but what are you technically doing? What does that look like? Are you just doing task management, or are you overseeing an operations team? There's 2 levels of management. There's the people manager side of management, and then there's the individual contributor, those who have a manager title, but they don't manage teams. 2 different things. So it's going to be important that you understand the difference. Also, in your bullet points, you don't want to focus on tasks. You want to make sure you take and elevate your resume from talking about tasks to really talking about how you strategized, what you were responsible for, the differences you made in the organization, how you moved things throughout the organization. There's a difference. It's if your bullet points start with the word I was responsible for, I assisted with, I supported, those are tasks. You need to elevate your bullet points a little bit better so that they highlight the difference that you made in the organization based on the goals that you achieved. Instead of saying that you managed XYZ, say that you led a team of whoever to do XYZ. Managed and led are two different terms. Responsible for, I navigated the achievement of. It's just about the way that you position yourself. Again, go watch video 1 and it'll walk you through some of those key phrases and things like that. There's always a difference. And it's going to be in whether you did a task or whether you actually made a difference. That's what we need to see. Your skills section. When you apply for jobs on LinkedIn, the system is going to tell you where you match concerning the skills that you have listed in your profile that match the skills required for that position. Usually we're asked to give maybe 10 up to 10 skills that are required. And if you look, it's going to tell you where you're this percent a match for this role because you have these 5 skills, but you're missing these 3. And it's going to give you a lower number. Now, if you see that a skill is something that you have, something that you're aware of, something that you're able to do, go ahead and tick it off because it's going to increase your match percentage for that role. Or take that job description, copy it over in the website in the AI strategist tool, upload your resume and have it do that side-by-side comparison because it's going to give you recommendations on how to better position yourself for that role. And again, unless specifically noted, we are not applying for jobs on LinkedIn, through Indeed. We are going to the company's website if we can find it. If you cannot find it, if it's easy to apply, by all means, do what you need to do. But my recommendation is always to go to the company website first. Your profile needs to reinforce the direction that you plan to carry your career at every step and every level. So this is why you want to make sure that you have the skills that match. You want to make sure that you have the terminology that matches. You want to make sure that you have positioned yourself as the candidate or the best choice of candidates for this position. So I'm going to show you the video, and after the video stops, we're going to come back and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this all up for you guys.
The first feature I want to show you about adding candidates in is adding them in manually. This is quite an unusual thing to do, but you never know when you might need this. So let's hypothetically say we've got a candidate who you know is perfect for this role already. You spoke to them a few weeks ago. You can add them in just like that. So what I would like to do in this scenario, even though we've got a search here, is create a brand new one.
So I want to jump in really quickly because I did start this in the middle of the training. I kind of wanted to skip all of the preliminary things that are not relevant to what you guys need to see. But I do want to draw your eyes to this part here. So this is the job description that she's searching for. She also put the location and then she's searching. So it's showing her how many people are showing up, like recruiter search, right? But then it's showing her how many of those people are open to work, how many are active talent, how many are rediscovered, which means that she's already either crossed paths with them, they've already reached out, or they have already applied for these roles or this role or to the company. If there are any internal candidates, and then if there are any in her company who may be interested, those who are interested in her company, excuse me. So, and this is really about engagement, and it shows like how many times you guys have visited the website. If you're engaging with their company page, things like that, because that information is included in all of the data analytics that we see on our side. We have a quarterly meeting with LinkedIn representatives who walk us through the data. And so what the data shows is people who are really showing an interest in the company. Well, this is where this number comes in at. And that's why in the first video, I told you it's going to make a difference if you're engaged with those companies or those employees or those recruiters to companies that you are really, really interested in, the companies you really want to work for. So this is what this information is. And this is for any, they call them projects. So anything that we post is considered a project, any role we post. This is the executive assistant. This is the role. This is the project. And so for each project that we create, this information comes up as we conduct our searches.
Up here for you. So we're going to go to start a new recruiter search. Brand new search. There is no candidates on here. Now, the 3 things every search must start with is a job title. That's the number one thing. So we're going to go for executive assistant. And once again, the best way to use LinkedIn is using the automated titles that are coming up. So we've got 1.9 million people here. I think that's far too many for us to contact. So we're going to break this down further. So we've got location, and this role is in London. Okay, brilliant. That's down to 45,000. And the last thing I really try and get people to break their searches down to is in industry. Let's say this is an executive assistant for the real estate industry. So all recruiter searches, the top 3 things to do are the title, the location, the industry. Now, there are a lot of people who come on to LinkedIn Recruiter and create a really, really, really niche specialized search. However, this pulls up 3 people. That's not going to give you access to the talent that you need. My piece of advice is start with those 3 things. Once again, that's title, industry, location, and you can filter down your search at any point, but always start with those 3 basic things. So we've now got 1.2 thousand results, much more manageable than though I think it was 1.9 million we had a few minutes ago. Now, the last thing I want to discuss with you is this little bit here. Hide previously reviewed. So don't forget on LinkedIn, if you see the information tab, click on this and this gives you the information you need. So hide previously viewed. When applied, we continually surface new candidates you haven't seen by hiding candidates you've already viewed. Profiles will be removed 8 hours after you viewed them.
All right. I want you guys to catch that part. So there's an option where you can hide the people that you've already viewed. That's relevant. This is a part of the reason why I'm telling you to apply in the earlier in the day that you apply, the more relevant it is going to be to when you are viewed. And then once they view you, unless we mark you or we save you or we star you or write notes specifically about you, if that is marked, you're going to disappear. So it's easy to dismiss someone. This is part of the reason why a lot of people feel like they're ghosted during the application process, especially if they're applying through LinkedIn. I don't recommend anyone apply through LinkedIn. I always still feel that it's best to go through the actual company page, but sometimes there are positions that are specific to easy apply. So just FYI. But I wanted you guys to note this part. I also, again, wanted you to see how she narrowed down her candidates. So right now, there's none interested, no internal candidates, no rediscovered candidates. But you saw she took that search number down from, I forgot how many thousands of people who were qualified. And she really honed in on those who are relevant to the location, the industry, the job title. And I think that was one other thing. She has schools on here. I can't remember everything, but you already saw it. If you didn't see it, if you didn't catch it, rewind it back, you'll catch it then.
Now, I propose that this gets turned off because you may well have spoken to a candidate 2 months ago, 2 years ago. So let's remove these so you've got higher access to more. So we've done the search. We've got the candidates. I now want to draw your attention to LinkedIn Recruiter Spotlights. When you hover over LinkedIn Spotlights, it will give you the criteria. So open to work is candidates who have intentionally marked they're looking for new opportunities. Now, I know that if you in-mail candidates who are open to work, they are 37% more likely to accept your in-mails. Active talent is candidates who have shared a profile update, a public resume on LinkedIn, or work at a company that might be experiencing layoffs. So they're also very likely to reply.
This again goes to what the stats are. And I'm laughing because the fact that LinkedIn really does pull this information based on what they know about their clients and those who have accounts. And I'm talking about the companies that have accounts, whether or not they're getting ready to have layoffs, whether or not they're experiencing a significant number of employees who are leaving. All of that data matters. And as you can see, it gets pulled into the recruiter area.
Rediscovered candidates are 4 times more likely to reply to your emails. They are candidates that have been saved or messaged by somebody in your company or have applied to one of your jobs. Internal candidates are people who are internal to your business who have expressed interest in roles. You may not be using that so much if you are in a recruitment agency. People who are interested in your company are twice as likely to reply to your emails, and they are candidates who have selected that they are interested in future roles at your company or interacted with your company's content, including following the company page. For some reason, you have to scroll over for the final spotlight, but that is have company connections. And they are candidates who are connected to your employees at your company on LinkedIn. Therefore, once again, they are more likely to reply to your emails. So when messaging people and adding them to your pipelines, I recommend starting with spotlights first. I've gone on to the open to work candidates who
I'm pausing here because she talked about the spotlighted candidates. That's where it becomes important to network. And we'll get into that probably in the next video, if not this one. But that's the part that I talked about a little earlier and in video 1, the importance of networking, making connections, meeting the recruiters, friending or connecting with people who work for these companies. That's the significance because it's almost like a built-in reference point rather than you asking, can I use you as a reference or referral? If we can see or if the system picks up that you are already connected with that person, it assumes there's a relationship and it pulls it in that way.
are really likely to reply, and I'm going to now save these to my project. So I'm going to go through the list slowly and surely, one by one, looking at their data, clicking into their profiles, and I'm going to get these clicked and saved to my project. I'm not messaging anybody yet. I'm just reviewing their profiles, saving them to the project.
So as y'all can see, that's a lot of the behind the scenes part that I actually wanted you guys to have insight into so that you can understand really what it is that we're doing on our end. And this is really how a lot of these systems work. When you think of Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, they all follow the same type of process as far as filtering out and determining who the right candidates are. There's one other part that I want you guys to see really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this video up.
So we're going to go to save the search. So we are going to save this as executive assistant and turn search alerts on. What does that mean? Great question. If a new candidate falls into this criteria of your search, you get notified. That means that the minute new candidates come in to LinkedIn as open to work or active talent, you're the first one to know. So get ahead of your competition, get in front of the candidates at the right time by making sure that you receive up-to-date alerts for this project. Once you've done that, save. Perfect.
So you can see on the recruiter side, it's just as competitive for us to make sure we're finding the right candidates as it is competitive for you to make sure that you're positioned as the right candidate. So as you can see, it's a lot that goes into those videos. It's a lot that goes into navigating LinkedIn Recruiter. And there's two types of recruiter. There's LinkedIn Recruiter and there's LinkedIn Recruiter Lite. It's probably something that's a little more skill driven rather than strategy driven. And I can look into it and let you guys know. But if you saw how she broke down how she does the search for these positions, then you already know how it works. And not too many job seekers are able to see that side of it. So I'm glad I was able to give you guys a little sneak peek into what it looks like to really find the right candidates and why it's important to make sure that you're positioned in a way that you'll be pulled into those searches when we actually begin looking. So recruiters search. We search and then we scan. We filter, we narrow down, we refine, and then we start making contact. If a recruiter from LinkedIn reaches out to you and you have validated and done your due diligence and you know that this is a viable company, this is a real person, respond. Go ahead and respond back, even if it's a no, because the position they're reaching out for may not be the right role for you, but the next one could very well be the role you want. And you want to keep a nice rapport with recruiters who reach out to you. It's going to be important to keep a rapport, especially if they're from a company that you're interested in, even when it comes to temp agencies. For instance, Robert Half is a very viable, creditable temp agency. I can't think of another one right now. But if a staffing firm or a third-party vendor reaches out to you, just make sure they're viable, make sure they're not accredited, but make sure that they're legit. Do your due diligence, do your research, check out the recruiter, look at the reviews, make sure that there's somebody that's worth investing your time in before you align yourself to them, because there are a lot of scammers on LinkedIn as well. There's a lot of ghost profiles, which is why people always feel like they got ghosted. But I want you to pay attention, and if you need to go back and watch the video again, pay attention to how she identified who she was going to search for, because if you remember, she narrowed down that first page of candidates and she saved it. It was only 25. Those 25 people are going to be the most relevant and the first people that she reaches out to. Very seldomly, if there's 250 something people, we probably won't even go to the third page. But the more relevant your profile is and specific it is to what you're looking for, the better your chances that you're going to be pulled in those first two pages, especially if you have a connection or if you're interacting and being engaged with that company's profile or with that company's employees. We'll talk about networking in the next video, but I'll make sure that you guys have some tools to make that a little bit easier. I did want you to see kind of how fast we're able to do keyword searches, how fast we're able to filter results and those who are available. I wanted you to see just how profiles are reviewed or found. And then you'll understand the importance of aligning yourself. So now that you've seen everything from the backside, from the recruiter side, you should think a little differently about, one, how your profile is set up. Two, really what you need to do, especially in that about section, to make sure that you're aligned with the roles that you're looking for. We are not wasting any time guessing if you're the person. We're going to scan and determine in the first couple of sentences of that about me section if you're the person. Copying your resume without strategic alignment is really going to limit you. That's why this year the word is intentional. You have to be intentional about what it is you want and make sure that you align yourself in the right way. And that's called being strategic. Use your LinkedIn profile as leverage. It's almost like the icing on top that's going to really sell us on who you are and whether or not you're the right person for the role. So I hope this second video was of assistance. I hope you gathered and gained some insight that you did not know that can now potentially help you to really navigate and use your LinkedIn as a tool that it was built to be used for. See you guys in the next video.